What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel. So it is currently the morning of January 20th. It is Inauguration Day, and late last night, the SBA finally released guidance in regard to the Targeted EIDL grant. So in this video, we're going to be walking through what this SBA guidance is and what it means for you and your application status for this free $10,000. So let's get started. So better late than never, I assume, and it seems as though the SBA is certainly taking that tactic with this EIDL grant guidance that they really should have given on Sunday, and I would argue that they probably should have given it even before then. With that being said, they finally did release the guidance that we were expecting for weeks now, and to be honest, the guidance is a little underwhelming, and I would maybe even go as far to say it's a little disappointing. You see, late last night, the SBA updated their website to reflect the changes to this new Targeted EIDL advance. Because if you remember correctly, if you've checked out the EIDL grant page in the last few weeks or even in the last few months, it has said that the EIDL cash advance is no longer available. Well, that is no longer the case. Instead, it is replaced by a series of paragraphs and bullet points outlining what people need to do in order to get the EIDL cash advance or the new Targeted EIDL cash advance. And in short, the answer to the question of what do I need to do to get the EIDL cash advance is, well, nothing. The updated website language starts off just going over what this targeted cash advance is. It gives some context as to why the program got more funds, and this is because of the new stimulus package that was passed at the end of December of 2020. It then goes on to say advance funds of up to $10,000 will be available to applicants located in low-income communities who previously received an EIDL advance for less than $10,000, or those who applied but received no funds due to lack of available program funding. Now, there are a few things that I think are fairly interesting from this second paragraph. First and foremost is the phrasing of funds up to $10,000. Now, you guys may remember, and this phrasing is like giving me flashbacks to spring of 2020. The phrasing up to $10,000 was something that the SBA really leaned into with the first round of funding with the CARES Act. And this was something that many of you, my viewers, were incredibly frustrated with, because the argument was, well, the bill said that we could get $10,000 and you guys are now changing it up to $10,000. And I find it interesting that they not only include it in this paragraph, but it's also in bold. So other than this phrasing of up to, this paragraph talks about the low-income community requirement. Now, this requirement was a requirement that was outlined in this bill. This is nothing new that we didn't already know about, and you have to come from a low-income community per the IRS guidelines in order to qualify for this grant. Now, if you guys are not sure whether or not you come from a low-income community, there is a link in the description below for a service called Hello Skip. You can enter your zip code into Hello Skip, and then they can help you decide whether or not you come from a low-income community. But the rest of that paragraph is nothing that we didn't already know. It goes on to say applicants do not need to take any action at this time. The SBA will reach out to those who qualify. SBA will first reach out to EIDL applications that already received a partial EIDL advance, so between $1,000 and $9,000. Applicants will be contacted directly by the SBA via email in the coming weeks with instructions to determine eligibility and submit documentation. It then goes on to say that any correspondence from the SBA will be from the official SBA.gov email address. And then in the following two bullet points, it really just goes and reiterates the requirements of the EIDL grant and the EIDL cash advance. And this is something that we talked about a lot on this channel so far. So in order to qualify for the second round of EIDL funding, in order to potentially qualify for the full $10,000, you have to meet a handful of requirements. Number one, you have to have a business as of February of 2020. Number two is you have to be able to show that your business showed a 30% reduction in revenue in some 8-week period of 2020 versus the same 8-week period in 2019. The next paragraph goes on to say the SBA will reach out to those who applied for EIDL assistance on or before December 27th, 2020, but did not receive an EIDL advance due to lack of program funding. These applicants will receive an email from the SBA with instructions to determine eligibility and submit documentation. Applicants may qualify for a targeted EIDL advance if they meet the above criteria. And then it goes on to say, please do not submit duplicate COVID-19 EIDL applications. Only prior applicants will be considered for the targeted EIDL advance. And then it says SBA will reach out to you if you qualify. So this is pretty big and significant news, and it answers a lot of the questions that we've had over the last few weeks. Number one of the question of will you need to reapply? And the answer is no, do not reapply. If you're somebody who wants the EIDL targeted cash advance, do not reapply, do not submit another application. Only apply if you're somebody who wants the loan and has not applied for the loan before. Number two is the question of if you already applied, will you be considered for this targeted EIDL advance? And the answer to that is yes. If you're somebody who applied at some point between March and December 27th, 2020, you could potentially qualify for this. And the best part is that there isn't anything that you need to do on your end in order to initiate that process. The SBA will be reaching out to you. Number three, the question of contingency. Will this targeted EIDL cash advance be contingent on the loan? And they didn't mention anything about it, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be. It doesn't seem like this targeted EIDL advance is going to be tied to any sort of acceptance or approval into the EIDL loan program. Other than that, though, I would say that this press release was pretty underwhelming. I mean, the SBA still did not give us any sort of timeline. So, like, when can you expect to hear from the SBA regarding the targeted cash advance? If you're somebody who applied at the end of December of 2020, is it going to be 8 more months until you get contacted by the SBA? Will it be 6 weeks? Will it be 2 weeks? Like, what is that expected time frame? The SBA didn't really give any inkling to what that time frame is going to look like. The other slightly disappointing aspect I would say of this release is the fact that they're not accepting any new applicants, which means that if you're somebody who maybe didn't know that the EIDL Cash Advance program was a thing back in 2020, maybe you just missed your chance for whatever reason, you will not be able to reapply. And at this point, it's unclear if the SBA will, if ever, reopen the applications for new applicants. And another big question that is still up in the air that is not addressed in this release is the question of, will the applications open up to the general public ever? Like, for example, if they go through the current applicants that have already submitted applications into the EIDL program, will they go through those applications? Once all those applications have been sifted through, will they then open up the program to more people? Now, my guess is probably not, because of the fact that the EIDL will run out of money fairly quickly. I mean, it doesn't have as much money as the PPP. It ran out of money quickly the first time. I suspect it will run out of money quickly the second time as well, even with the SBA doing more vetting. So my guess is that at least with this most recent round of funding, we will not see new applicants being accepted into the EIDL program. So in summary, you guys, the SBA has released guidance on the EIDL program, and basically the guidance is don't do anything. The SBA will reach out to you. If you qualify for the targeted EIDL advance, the SBA will find out, they will figure out if you are somebody who qualifies, and then they will contact you. Once they contact you, they will ask for any sort of required documentation that you need to provide in order to prove that your business is an actual business or an actual side gig, that you live in a low-income community, and that you've shown a gross revenue decline of 30% or more. They will also request the documentation in order to prove this. Now, to be honest, this isn't far off from what I was expecting from the SBA. I was expecting some sort of vague guidance, but to be honest, this is a little bit more vague than even I was expecting. I was hoping for some sort of more clear-cut timeline and a really list of expectations of what we can expect from the SBA, and it doesn't seem like they provided any of that. There is still the big question of when can people start expecting to receive EIDL cash advances. There's still the big question of when and how long it will take for the SBA to address all these applications. And there is still the big question of if or when the SBA will open the EIDL to new applicants, if ever. But all in all, you guys, this is a pretty substantial update, even if it is a little underwhelming. If you guys have any questions about this newest guidance released by the SBA, if you guys have any questions on the EIDL program in general, at least from what we know right now, make sure to leave a comment down below. I can do a video addressing any questions you guys have on this specific guidance in the coming days. So make sure to leave a comment with any thoughts, any questions, or any feedback you may have. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.